Introducing the innovation of bicycles. Bicycles have changed both radically and incrementally over the past 200 years. I'll be using a basic S-curve to help illustrate the innovation of bikes. As you can see, the y-axis represents performance and the x-axis represents time. As new innovations enter a market, they compete, and usually only one competitor will take off, and the innovation will begin to mature. The maturity phase will eventually be discontinued when a new innovation comes along. Let's take a look at the first bike ever made. It was called the Lauf machine. Made in 1817, it was invented by a German that goes by the name of Baron Karl von Drais. The first reported ride of the Lauf machine went 13 kilometers in less than an hour. Let's take a look at its inner workings. It's not fancy at all. This bike is essentially a board strapped to two wheels. It also has a super basic steering system. In a sense, it hardly even constitutes as a bike. The next radical innovation that came along with the bicycle happened in 1860 in Paris. The French put a rod through the front wheel of a bicycle and attached pedals. This was the first time a bicycle used a mechanical propulsion system. Since the pedals were mounted on the front wheel, the bike was incredibly hard to steer. The nickname for this type of bike is the bone shaker because it was so hard to ride, and essentially, when you rode it, it would shake your bones. Incremental improvements were made to the bone shaker and the penny farthing was born. The penny farthing had a larger front wheel, a smaller back wheel, and a lighter frame that permitted faster speeds than the bone shaker. The issue with the penny farthing is that it's dangerous. Various people who rode this bike ended up with broken wrists. We will use this picture to illustrate how dangerous this bike actually is. Although it was dangerous, at least it was a step in the right direction. Then, bikes up until this point were very hard to ride, unsafe, and were not commercially that successful until in 1885 when the safety bicycle was built. The safety bicycle innovated on its predecessor. A chain along with gears was added. This innovation allowed for the back wheel of the bike to be extended further back and the front wheel to scale down, allowing the rider to sit in between both wheels and at a comfortable riding height. The average person could now comfortably ride a bike. The middle to upper class started to find enjoyment in riding the safety bike, and a clear commercial demand for bikes was brought forth. Eventually, various bike companies figured out a way to mass-produce bikes. Bikes were mainly produced in Europe and in the US. Most of production continued in the US as the US found a more efficient way to produce bikes. Over the years, incremental changes were made to bikes, such as better brakes, better wheels, better tires, and better gears were made. New markets opened due to consumer preferences, and existing technology could be applied to those markets. Different types of bikes were developed based off of the safety bicycle. These bicycles include road bikes, BMX bikes, cruiser bikes, commuter bikes, and mountain bikes, and there's many more. As the bicycle industry enters the maturity phase, new types of bikes are developed to further satisfy customer needs. As a manager, it will be important to focus on these niche innovations as that is where the opportunity is found. But what does the future hold? What does it look like? Bike manufacturers are focusing on developing lighter, faster, and better bikes. They are starting to adopt 3D printing techniques and use different substances such as carbon fiber or even bamboo. Arguably, the bicycle S-curve that is prominent today is the electric bike movement, where bike hubs are starting to become electric to give the rider pedal assist and allow for easier riding. There are three ways in which electric bikes are being born. People can buy conversion kits for their bike to make it electric. Just take a look at this simple example. Well, actually, it's not so simple. It's tough. Some people are just straight up buying electric bikes. One of my favorite electric bike companies is Super 73. They started producing electric bikes a few years ago in a small garage in California and have scaled into a very successful company. You are able to buy their electric bikes ready to use. Other people are just purchasing an electric wheel that will help with pedal assist. The company Copenhagen is selling such wheel, and it's awesome. All in all, like any innovation, there is no correct way to execute. Only one innovation will rise up the curve and not be discontinued. It will be exciting to see how people in cities will start to adapt to the electric bike movement, and what new innovations will come of it.